Beginner. This tier contains some of the earliest trick jumps found in Mario Odyssey, like the very famous Metro Impossible. The beginner trick jumps range from 0.5 out of 10 in difficulty to 3 out of 10 in difficulty. These jumps are great for anyone who is trying to get started with trick jumping, and all of these jumps can be performed using basic techniques like vaults, triple jumps, homing cap throws, rainbow spins, and cappy dives. Some of the most famous jumps in the beginner tier are Meme Tree, Flower Road Skip, Frogless, and of course, Lake Skip. But in the intermediate tier, several new techniques will be learned, with the most important one being vectoring. Vectoring is when you move in 45-degree angles rather than just going straight forward, and by doing this, it will actually increase your overall distance you cover. The jumps in this difficulty range from 3.5 out of 10 to 5 out of 10, and these jumps will require much more skill than the beginner jumps. Another technique you will learn in this tier is called the triple throw. This can be performed by throwing Cappy out 3 times in a row, and then he will return to you more quickly on the third throw. This is a great difficulty tier which includes a lot of really famous trick jumps like Bonsai Bounce, Lunch Gap, and the very famous speedrunning trick Snowdram. But the next difficulty, advanced trick jumps, are even cooler. This tier contains jumps of 5.5 out of 10 difficulty to 6.5 out of 10 difficulty. From here, the jumps get a bit more difficult, and once again, vectoring is a crucial technique to land these consistently. Another technique that people may learn in this tier would be the motion control cap throw, or the MCCT for short. This is similar to the homing cap throw, but instead of throwing Cappy out with a button, you instead shake your controller, which gives you a tiny bit more distance. The most popular jumps in this tier include Captureless God, Scarecrowless, and one of my personal favorites, Underground Passageway. But now we're on to the expert tier, which contains 119 trick jumps that consist of 7 out of 10 to 8 out of 10 difficulty. This is the tier where you really have to start improving at the fundamentals to land these jumps. There are really no new techs that are learned, so you just have to get pretty decent at vectoring and also making sure that you time all your cap throws and dives correctly. This is the first difficulty tier where you may experience a lot of trouble landing these jumps. Some of them could even take you hours. But don't let that scare you, because this tier has a lot of fun jumps like Poison FRS, Ship to Ship, Great Leap, and Neighborhood Impasse. But now it's time for the master trick jumps, which are the last ones before the elite jumps and are rated 8.5 all the way to 10 out of 10 in difficulty. These jumps can be achieved one of two ways. You can either just use the basic techniques but perform everything pretty precisely, or you can learn new techniques like snapshot buffering and relax tech. These techniques certainly are not required, but they do significantly help. But I'll make sure to touch more on those new tricks in the next tier. The master tier actually has the most trick jumps out of any tier, consisting of a whopping 124 trick jumps. Some of the best jumps include Treasure Hunter, Lava Bypass, Pan Evader, and Table Dram. But once you have landed a jump of 8.5, 9, 9.5, and 10 difficulties, you are finally ready to move up to the elite trick jumps. Low Elite. This is the milestone that every trick jumper wants to reach, their first elite trick jump. But landing one is not an easy feat. At this tier, most people are gonna recommend that you learn snapshot buffering as well as relax tech. These two techniques will help tremendously when trying to land one of these jumps. Snapshot buffering is when you go in and out of snapshot mode right before you triple jump. By doing this, you can time your triple jump at the very last possible frame. Relax tech is a little bit more complicated though, but it's a strat where after you do a motion control cap throw, you let go of the control stick for 1 frame, which you can do by abusing snapshot mode. This 1 frame of holding neutral actually ends up giving you more height, which makes these elites a lot more feasible. Some of the best low elite trick jumps in my opinion include True Danger Sign, Stairway Evader, and Mushroom Rise Up. But even though your first elite trick jump is impressive, there is still a long way to go, with the next tier being the mid elite. At this tier, nothing else needs to be learned. You just need to improve upon everything you have already done. Your snapshot buffering, your relax tech, your timings, and most importantly, your vectoring. This tier is certainly a step up from the low elites, but it's honestly not as big as people might think. If someone has landed a couple of low elites, there is a very high chance that they could land a mid elite pretty quickly. Some of the best mid elites include True Grassy Gap, Shroom Scope, and Necrosis. But next up, we have the high elite trick jumps. In my opinion, these are the last difficulty of trick jumps before things get absolutely insane. The high elites are just a little step up from the mid elites, and they don't require any new techniques. They just require mastery over all the basics as well as the new strategies. There are a total of 67 trick jumps in this tier, with some good ones being Burn Style, Triassic Triple, and Frozen Lake Crosser. But now we're onto the Insanity Elites, and here is where things start to get serious. Now, although Insanity Elites are only one tier in and of itself, they are actually broken up into 4 sub-tiers of their own. The easiest of these sub-tiers is the Low Insanity, and then a bit more difficult is the Mid Insanity, and then the High Insanity, and finally the hardest of the Insanities are the Top Insanity trick jumps. Now, while the Low Insanities aren't much harder than the High Elites, the Top Insanities are a massive jump in difficulty. For reference, my hardest jump is a Top Insanity, and it took me 13 hours to land. But when I do High Elites or even sometimes Low Insanities, it generally only takes me around 20 minutes. Going up the ladder of Insanity trick jumps is not an easy task at all, and it requires extremely precise vectoring and mastery over trick jumping. There are 84 Insanity Elites in total, and some of my favorite ones include Bowser Dram, Necrophobia, Top Step 2.0, and Gratuitous Girders. But now it's time for the God tier trick jumps, which is where things get extremely difficult. In fact, less than 200 people have landed one of these jumps. And just like the Insanity Elites, they are subdivided into the same 4 tiers: Low God, Mid God, High God, and Top God. Landing a Low God is already incredibly difficult, but working your way up towards the Top God is a very daunting journey. There's also a new tech that people learn in this tier, which would be called Moonwalk. By landing your triple jump backwards, you will lose less speed, which results in further distance covered. But even with this new tech, these jumps require extreme precision and very little room for error. Your vectors have to be near perfect, and everything has to be timed incredibly well. Some of the most famous jumps in this tier include Reverse Poison Pass, Reverse Aqua Pillar, and Vault City Reacher. Even though the God tiers are already insane, now it's time for the hardest current possible jumps, the Hell tiers. The Hell tiers are the pinnacle of Mario Odyssey trick jumping, and less than 100 people have landed one of these. These jumps are so incredibly difficult that most people can't even fathom trying to land one of these monstrosities. Just like the Insanities and the Gods, the Hells also have the same 4 sub-tiers: Low Hell, Mid, High, and Top Hell. These jumps are so precise that you almost always need an upwarp. Now, I haven't explained what an upwarp is, but it can happen on any difficulty of jump, but it's just way more prevalent in the Hell tiers. An upwarp is when it looks like you may bonk, but Mario seemingly teleports upwards. These can only ever happen when you are really close to landing the jump, but they are completely random. The Hell tiers are an incredibly difficult tier, but I want to show you 2 jumps that are so difficult that only one person has been able to land them. The first is Moonwalkless True Lunge Gap Full Landing. This jump used to be only possible with Moonwalk, but it was recently proven to be possible without it. Now, there is a bit of controversy around the clip and whether it's legit or not. I personally believe it is real, and it was proven by the top trick jumper Cartman. But what you're seeing now is the current hardest trick jump in the game, Relaxless Truest Cavalier Crossing, proven by Bowser Jesse, the current #1 ranked trick jumper. This jump is so insanely precise that only Bowser Jesse has been able to land it. Now, the Hell tiers are the current hardest difficulty in the game, but I wanted to include a little bonus, which is our final difficulty, the Unproven Jumps. These are jumps that have been proven to be theoretically possible by a TAS. So no human has actually landed these yet, but they are technically possible as they were performed by a computer. But I just wanted to include these jumps because oftentimes people think that these jumps are impossible, but then someone ends up landing them and they become the new hardest trick jump in the game.